One of the founding members of the rock group The Who is found dead in a Las Vegas hotel room. News 13's 11 minutes of non-stop news begins now. Hello, I'm Cathy Ray. Ross Becker has the night off. Fans here in the Valley and all across the world mourn the loss of bass guitarist John Entwistle. Some star power in Carson City as famed attorney Alan Dershowitz fights for convicted killer Sandy Murphy before the state Supreme Court. And some startling news about UMC's Trauma Center. But first, we begin with the death of a rock and roll legend right before a nationwide tour was kicking off. News 13's Veronica Sanchez joins us live from the Hard Rock Hotel, where fans tonight, we understand, are consoling each other over the sudden loss of John Entwistle.
That's right, Kathy. They came from all over the world to come see The Who perform right here in Las Vegas. Well, now they are grieving the loss of 57-year-old John Entwistle. He is the bass guitarist that helped change the face of music. They were part of the British invasion, The Who, and tonight one of them is gone.
Oh, it's horrible. You know, the ox is gone. Where's the spider? No more.
No more John Entwistle, the bass player.
And they're going to miss John.
He died this afternoon at the Hard Rock Hotel, one day before the band was supposed to kick off their tour here. Now fans are tossing flowers at the joint. They're holding a night-long vigil for a legend and remembering his music.
Sad, very sad. He's one of my favorites too, you know. The whole Who, John Entwistle.
The concert here is canceled, but the loss cuts deeper than money for fans like Scott Evans.
I've been a Who fan since I was 12 or 13. Like any other teenage boy, there was a lot of anger.
With their hard edge, The Who broke into the music scene in the 1960s. John Entwistle eventually went solo.
Well, he was a fantastic bass player, either with The Who and without.
Somebody that you never met, you know, like that. You know, he touches everybody.
While music fans mourn, Metro Police are handling the investigation into his death. And it looks like Entwistle may have died of a heart attack. He may be gone, but fans are keeping the music alive.
In the words of The Who, long live rock, I need it every day.
Now, the promoter for the concert says a Vegas show and also a July 1st show in Los Angeles have both been canceled. Now, we don't know what is exactly going to happen of the tour after that, but we do know that fans who did get tickets for the Vegas show can, in fact, get a refund. Reporting live, Veronica Sanchez, News 13, inside Las Vegas.
Any word tonight, Veronica, from any of the band members?
Not yet. We did ask the hotel folks in there if they had heard anything at all, and nothing yet so far. But I'm sure they're definitely in grief tonight.
Absolutely. A major loss for rock and roll. Okay, Veronica. You know, John Entwistle was not only a talented musician, he was also an artist. In fact, 17 of Entwistle's paintings were for sale at Desert Passage inside the Aladdin. But once word came down about his death today, Entwistle's estate froze the immediate sale of his artwork. However, a number of limited edition prints are still available on the market. Some breaking news right now. A suspected drunk driver has been arrested for causing a major accident, sending 3 people to the hospital. It happened just about an hour ago on Stewart Avenue. That's in the Northeast Valley. News 13's Scott Burton live on the scene with more. Scott, what can you tell us?
Well, Kathy, this is a pretty bad accident out here in the east side of the valley tonight. And as you mentioned, it appears alcohol may be to blame. Here's what Metro is telling us as to how this crash happened earlier tonight. Apparently, this white pickup truck was heading eastbound on Stewart when the driver, who Metro has told us was under the influence of alcohol, ran a red light at Mary, and apparently at that very moment a van heading through the intersection was basically left a sitting duck. The 2 vehicles collided, sending both of them spinning down the east side of Stewart Avenue. 2 people were ejected out the back of the van. Those 2 people have been taken to UMC, and at this point we have been told the driver of the pickup truck was arrested for DUI. Now, we have called UMC to try to find out how those 2 people are doing right now. At the moment, the driver of that van was also taken. We will continue to update you on this story tonight as we get more information from UMC to find out how everybody involved was doing. Kathy, back to you.
All righty, Scott Burton reporting live. Well, police are on the lookout tonight for 2 gang members who critically shot a 6-year-old little girl in her own home overnight. It happened around 2 o'clock this morning near Washington and Jones. Police say the suspects used 2 weapons and fired into the house where the child was sleeping on a living room couch. Tonight, she's in critical condition. The suspects fled in a red car, and just minutes later, police say those suspects shot at a home of the victim's relatives nearby. Luckily, nobody was hit there. The Ted Binion murder is the focus of yet another courtroom drama. Now, it's been 2 years since the casino mogul's girlfriend and her lover were convicted of the crime. Well, now the Nevada Supreme Court is hearing their appeals. News 13's Mark Sayre has the very latest from Carson City.
The state made a tragic mistake.
That's how Sandy Murphy's attorney, Alan Dershowitz, characterized this admission by prosecutor David Wall.
But it was our position and our belief all along that Mr. Binion was suffocated.
They can't come up to this court now and change their mind and say, whoops, we're sorry. We now know that there was insufficient evidence on the drug theory.
But prosecutors say they are under no obligation to prove exactly what killed gaming mogul Ted Binion.
Where it's not abundantly clear exactly how they killed him, you can present each of those theories to a jury as long as they both conclude it's homicide.
The other key appeal issue, potential jury misconduct, which the defense team says potentially changed the verdict.
You have a juror, at least one, that gives an opinion based upon her business knowledge that goes to the heart of the defense that was set forth by Mr. Tabish. And you have the cumulative effect of each of these errors that rose to a jury verdict of guilt after 8 days worth of deliberation.
I believe that there was no misconduct.
But Justice Nancy Becker was not buying it.
But assuming that we do not agree with you, then what standard do we apply to determine whether or not this constitutes reversible error?
That question, Rick Tabish's attorney says, may mean good news for his client.
It means to me that this court may potentially be willing to change their approach as to the type of prejudice that needs to be shown and who bears the burden of proof.
Mark Sayre reporting from Carson City. Now, the Supreme Court has a lot to consider there. The original trial took 6 weeks. It involved more than 400 pieces of evidence and 100 witnesses. In California, a judge has once again refused to grant bail for actor Robert Blake. That means he'll remain behind bars, at least until his preliminary hearing in August. Blake is accused of killing his wife, Bonnie Lee Bakley, last May. The judge says he wants to hear the prosecution's evidence before deciding whether bail is in fact appropriate. And the woman you see right there in that video is accused of shopping for a hitman. Cheryl Wyman was arrested by Tampa police after a family friend tipped off police to her plot. Authorities say Wyman was offering $600 for anyone to help her with what she calls a charity kill. The suspect had just taken a $200,000 life insurance policy out on her husband. Nevertheless, her husband, Randall, you see there, doesn't believe the tape, and he wants her back. Earlier today, there were 2 men named David Parks running for state assembly. Tonight, there's only one. A judge has determined that David Parks, the challenger, is not a resident of Nevada. David Parks was running against incumbent David Parks for the Assembly 41 seat. The judge says the challenger never really showed any real proof he lived here, but challenger Parks maintains he is a legitimate candidate.
Well, it wasn't a political trick. I mean, I certainly was interested in the job, and I was interested in helping to improve conditions in Las Vegas.
While the bar might be very low in terms of what you need to be in order to be an actual resident, it's still not on the ground. You know, you still have to rise above that bar. This man clearly did not.
Well, Parks' name will now be removed from the Democratic primary ballot. Homes and businesses are being evacuated tonight for folks living along Highway 138 in the Cajon Pass. That fire actually shut down I-15 last night, as we showed you then. The interstate wasn't opened until about 6 o'clock this morning. And as of now, the blazes charged 6,800 acres and destroyed 3 homes. The Cajon fire is only 15% contained. And in Arizona, nearly 900 homes near Show Low are threatened tonight by fire there. The Rodeo Chedesky fire has scorched an alarming 410,000 acres. Crews are using bulldozers to carve a 5-mile line, trying to keep the flames away from the town there. And so far, 423 homes have been destroyed. Well, don't touch that remote. There's still much more ahead on News 13 and 11.
Yes, we're going to talk about the lingering smoke from all of those fires, not only the one in Southern California, but maybe some good news for that one in Arizona. In the meantime, when you get up on your Friday morning, probably will be some haze hanging around. We think it'll be around 80 degrees at 7 o'clock in the morning with light wind. We'll have the rest of your forecast when News 13 at 11 continues with more complete coverage inside Las Vegas.
And some breaking news, a pretty bad accident in the east side of the valley, and it appears drinking and driving may be the cause. We'll have some new information for you coming up in a live report.
Plus, the Asian population here in southern Nevada is growing very quickly. Wait until you see what's now open. You will be amazed. And still ahead, county commissioners make a big decision today on how to keep UMC's trauma center open, and it affects us all. That's next on News 13 at 11.
Now, with more complete coverage, News 13 continues with Ross Becker, Cathy Ray, Nathan Tannenbaum with your complete forecast, Ron Futrel Sports, and Tricia Kean with Contact 13. This is News 13 inside Las Vegas.
You know, Ross finally gets a night off, and it is hazy out there still.
It really is. Yeah, it's been that way all day today. I don't know. I live kind of like in the middle of town, so I don't really see it as much as you would outside of town looking in.
From the Cajon fire.
Yes,
so.
That's exactly where the haze is coming from. Hard to see the mountains surrounding the valley. That's always a good clue that there's something going on in the air, and that may be the case when you get up and at them in the morning, too, especially if that fire is still going, as it appears to be down there at the Cajon Pass. Meantime, we'll take a look right now. A beautiful shot from our sky cam. That is the moon in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. And yes, lingering haze. We are at, what do we have here? 88 degrees for you. Humidity is not too much of a factor. It is at 19%. There is a south breeze at only 5 miles an hour. The barometer continues to rise just a wee little bit at 29.76. And with that haze in the air, we actually did not get as warm as we thought we were going to get. It wasn't necessarily cloud cover. We put a little graphical representation of the haze here on our little map of the city, so don't try to adjust your set. Down in Henderson at this hour, you're at 98 degrees, making it only to 107 instead of the 110 you had yesterday. Nellis, you're at 94, 87 up in North Las Vegas, and Summerlin, you're still at 91, while the National Weather Service checks in at 90. As always, if you don't see your city on our map here, all you have to do is look in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. We have the forecast morning lows for neighborhoods all over southern Nevada and the forecast afternoon highs tomorrow. But let's stay in the here and now, even talking about how hot it is in Laughlin. They're at 98. Mount Charleston, you are the cool spot at 53. Could even get into the 40s up there tonight. 77s for both Prompt and Kingman, 87 for Boulder. And yesterday's high was 108. We only made 104 this afternoon. That's still above normal. Low this morning was 78. Looks like we'll be in that same ballpark in the morning. The sun gets up at 5:26. Now, these air quality readings are a little bit misleading because they're actually the numbers from yesterday. The Clark County Department of Air Quality Management actually does a 24-hour delay. We're going to see today's numbers tomorrow, so I'm guessing we'll be a little bit more higher into the moderate category. Cloud-wise, it looks like these ones are getting ready to gang up on us here, at least over Northern California, and possibly heading here into southern Nevada in the next 24 to 48 hours. But temperature-wise, we don't expect much of a change. Speaking of temps, at the noon hour, Phoenix was not quite at 100, made it to 109, holding at 93, already into the 60s for Tonopah and for Ely. And what do you say we check in on your family and friends across the nation? A warm and muggy one, as even Rapid City got to triple digits. It's in the 60s and 70s for most of the country, and a very strong band of rain showers marching across the nation's eastern one-third. Looks like most of West Virginia's got a lot of rain, even sections of West Virginia, and also around Knoxville, Tennessee, also in parts of Mississippi and Alabama, and a little bit of shower activity going on over the Pacific Northwest. But the good news is there has been a little bit of rain on that huge rodeo fire in eastern Arizona. We're going to head on back home now and talk about lingering haze in the morning. We're thinking 80 or so when you get the day started. Generally calm wind, and the haze probably will be coming and going tomorrow, depending a lot on how well they continue to battle that fire down there at the Cajon Pass. The afternoon high temperature should be around 105. Some neighborhoods will get closer to 110. Heading out to the lake, you should be around 113 with southwest winds at times to 15 miles an hour. On the mountain, you've already busted your low, probably going to be in the 40s up there in the morning, and we'll still stick with 83, your afternoon high. Meantime, the next 5 days, very little change, Kathy. We need to write that Mott's word that we learned yesterday, more of the same. Saturday may be the sunniest day, but there'll still be some high clouds around, and hopefully the haze gets out of here.
Let's hope so. For people with respiratory conditions, that's the bad thing.
And they recommend that you stay indoors if you have that kind of a thing.
Right. Okay, Nate. Thanks a lot. Well, tonight, trauma docs over at UMC have an option other than leaving the trauma center because of the rising medical malpractice insurance rates. Today, the County Commission voted to allow UMC to use county money to extend contracts with the doctors and increase specialty call stipends. This is just a temporary fix, however, lasting for 60 days or until the governor calls a special session of the legislature.
What we have here is an overriding obligation to keep UMC and UMC Trauma Center open. I think we have to do whatever we can to provide the safeguards to the doctors to do just that so that they can practice unhindered in that environment.
UMC says it's not exactly sure how much money it's going to need to keep the doctors from leaving, but it could be as much as $10 million. However, if the plan doesn't work, its trauma center could close by next week. New tonight, San Francisco is known for its thriving Chinatown, but Las Vegas could soon give it a run for its money. Take a look. Earlier tonight, Scott Burton explored the latest expansion to our Chinatown.
It's the colors, the history, the flair of the Asian culture that fascinates so many people around the world. And now that culture has an even larger home here in Las Vegas. It's the center at Spring Mountain. $8 million improved.
I think to the Chinese, basically we like Chinatown because we need real Chinese food. So the food is the main reason we are here. And also we need to buy some grocery, like fruit or whatever.
Las Vegas's Chinatown already attracts the Asian community, but it's slowly being outgrown. In just the last decade, we've seen the Asian population grow to nearly 5% of Clark County's residents. This new center, combined with the existing Chinatown, will help support that community with a central hub of culture.
We figured, my gosh, if we complemented the wonderful job they did and really made this the Asian center of the whole Las Vegas metropolitan community, it would really be a wonderful thing for the community and for visitors.
And already the center seems to be proving successful, with businesses showing an increase in sales.
It's already helped our business because even before it's finished, we've seen an increase in business from the Asian communities as well as from the tourists.
The Asian community, rich with tradition and heritage, now has a larger home in Las Vegas to meet a larger population here in the Valley. With more complete coverage, I'm Scott Burton, News 13 inside Las Vegas.
And Scott tells us there's much more to this plaza than just the Asian stores. There's an art store, for example, that carries all sorts of pieces. Bottom line, folks at Chinatown say there's something for everyone. Well, if you're traveling on the Valley's east side, you may want to avoid Stewart Avenue. When we come back, we're going to head back out to the scene of that terrible accident that has sent 3 people to the hospital. We want to go back out to the scene of that bad car accident we had for you at the top of the broadcast. Scott Burton live at the scene with more an apparent drunk driver. And you have some new information, Scott?
Yeah, Kathy, we do. Metro investigators have told us this accident carried with it so much force that the 2 people ejected out of the back of the van were actually thrown across 4 lanes of traffic into a wall across the street. You can see people investigating that wall right now, taking a look at what is remaining there. We just got word from UMC that amazingly, the 2 people thrown from the back of this van in a T-bone accident that sent both vehicles spinning are going to be okay at this point. They're saying that the injuries don't appear to be nearly as bad as they first thought. So that's some incredible news for these 2 people. To reiterate, we have 1 person arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol. It was a Ford pickup heading eastbound on Stewart. That driver, according to Metro, ran a red light. That started this whole thing. The driver of the van was also taken to UMC, so some good news out there that seems everybody's going to be all right, but definitely a wake-up call. Drinking and driving can lead to things like this. Kathy, back to you.
All righty. Scott Burton reporting live from the scene of Stewart Avenue. You may want to stay out of that area for some time while they clear up the accident scene. Well, safety advocates go after the government over tire safety, and buying and refinancing a home is going to get a lot easier. Contact 13's Tricia Kean has the details.
HUD hopes the plan will take the cheating and confusion out of home mortgage settlements. The proposal is designed to stop cheating by unscrupulous lenders, and for the first time, borrowers could comparison shop not only on interest rates, but closing costs as well. Here are some of the proposed changes you could see early next year. Closing costs would be limited to the initial estimate provided to the borrower. Fixed price closings are included in the proposal and would eliminate last-minute surprises for borrowers. Brokers would have to disclose how and how much they're paid, and real estate settlement forms will be more understandable to borrowers. Safety groups are suing the government over a tire pressure monitoring rule, saying it puts car makers ahead of motorist safety. The NHTSA ruled that automakers have a choice of monitors to use in cars made after November 2003. The agency had originally proposed a system that gives drivers a direct readout of the pressure tire on each of their tires. Automakers wanted to be able to use a cheaper indirect system that safety experts say isn't as good. The rule will be reevaluated in 2006 to see if the cheaper system does lead to more wrecks. For Contact 13, I'm Tricia Kean, News 13, inside Las Vegas.
Coming up, the latest action from the international basketball tournament going on in town right now, and the community college gets set for its first season of basketball. Ron has all the sports news next.
Now, with more complete coverage, News 13 continues with Ron Futrel and the sports team.
All right, the World Pro Hoops Tournament going on at the Cox Pavilion has a strong local feel to it. Plenty of former Rebels in action out there. Former Rebel Reggie Theus is also coaching the ABA Select team, but tonight Earl Curitan took his place, but you can see Robert Smith was a little to his right there, a former Rebel, as an assistant coach in the game. These games have been good, close ones. Tonight, same thing. Michael Johnson with a drive and a score for the ABA Select team, which is Reggie's team. They beat the London Leopards to move on in the winner's bracket. I don't know how the players could tell each other apart. Their uniforms looked like one team's the dark team and the other team's the dark team, but looks a little close there in tonight's game. There's Robert Smith for you from behind there. Okay. In the fall, the community college will play its first season of basketball. The Coyotes, coached by George Tarkanian, have apparently found a home to play in now. Looks like the North Gym on the campus of UNLV will be their site. They wanted to play in the Cox Pavilion, but were told by UNLV officials the Cox was already filled up with dates, which wasn't accurate. Then they were told that the Cox, that they could actually rent the Cox Pavilion for $7,500 a game, which is a pretty high price, especially when you consider UNLV and CCSN are part of the same university system. But bottom line, they'll be in the small 900-seat North Gym.
It's a little smaller facility, but I think it's a nice facility to start off with.
Would you like the Cox Pavilion? Does that make more sense, perhaps, to you for the future of this program and for UNLV, for that matter?
Well, the Cox Pavilion is a beautiful facility, and obviously, you know, I would love to have our teams play there. There's a lot of give and take on it. I mentioned a lot of people that, you know, the concept of the rent that they wanted to charge at the Cox wasn't very appealing to me. I think our school was still willing to do it, but wasn't very appealing to me.
Okay, the 51s win tonight by coming back in the ninth inning. In fact, they win with a squeeze bunt in the bottom of the ninth, 10-9 the final over Oklahoma. Dodgers and Rockies tonight from Chavez Ravine. Sean Green continues his home run tear. Another one tonight, his 25th of the season. He's hit 22 in his last 34 games. He also does the job out there in right field with a nice looking catch coming up here. Dodgers beat the Rockies 7-1. It's the Dodgers' third straight win. Dodgers are 20 games over 500 for the first time in 6 years. They lead the West by 2.5 games over Arizona. Speaking of Arizona, at Houston tonight, bottom of the ninth, 2 out, bases loaded. Astros' Greg Zahn batting down by a run.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a nice way to hit a game-winning grand slam against the World Series champs. 7-4, Astros win with that grand slam in the bottom of the ninth by Greg Zahn. And oh, by the way, it was on an 0-2 pitch, and Zahn was a pinch hitter.
Wow.
And that one, so wow. That's a nice way to end a game if you are an Astros fan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if not,
well,
sorry,
there's
next time.
Come back.
Yeah. Well, that does it for now. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll see you back here tomorrow on News 13 inside Las Vegas.